TYT Sports, we bring you finally. He's back. Well, not back,
I'm back.
but technology's a beautiful thing. Francis Maxwell, live from Glasgow, Scotland, I believe.
Good. You finally know where I live after how long have I been speaking to you?
About a year and a half we've been going.
A year and a half.
I know where you live. Now the whole world knows where you live.
I know. I showed them my backyard on a clip, actually.
I know, and it was very funny, especially the part where I left in the editing, like, okay, you can cut this out. I think I left that purposely. A, how is Scotland before we get to B, which is Floyd Mayweather?
So surprisingly, the first 2 days were really sunny, which was shocking for everyone involved. I think they thought that I brought the sun back from LA, and then of course the shitty rain and wind came back after that. But it's been great. I mean, it's great to be back home. It's great to eat unhealthy food, and it's been refreshing.
Well, that's wonderful to hear.
And my accent came back for a little bit, but then I realized I had to speak to you, so you'd have to understand me.
I'm sure it did, considering anytime you like speak with your family on the phone, the accent comes out hard. Aye. All right, so let's get to some sports news here. Floyd Mayweather came out on ESPN Deportes, which is Spanish ESPN, and gave a controversial list regarding who the top 5 boxers of all time are. We have a card at which he stated that Floyd Mayweather is the greatest boxer of all time. He's only got a little bit of an ego. He's not necessarily really wrong about maybe being in the top 5, but number 1 is interesting. 2, Roberto Duran. 3, Pernell, Whitaker. 4, Julio, Cesar, Chavez. And the controversial part, number 5, Muhammad Ali. Now, I don't know where your top 5 ranks, Francis. I want to hear your opinions on this one first, because boxing is a weird sport that's gone on for 150 plus years, and it's tough to start taking the records of guys, you know, the Willie Peps and the Roberto Durans, who fought so much more than any of the guys nowadays that fight. Do you think Floyd Mayweather is the #1 boxer of all time, or do you think he's slighting Muhammad Ali?
I don't know, because a lot of people don't technically put Muhammad Ali as number 1 when it comes to their top 5 boxers of all time, because usually that's just somewhat people put it there for that sentimental value, because people do consider him as the greatest of all time because that's what he was called. But I don't think that's the shocking part of it. I think the shocking part is there's no Rocky Marciano on there. There's no Sugar Ray Leonard. Perhaps there's an argument to be made for Sugar Ray Robinson. I think those are boxers that in most people's top 5 definitely are there or thereabouts. I mean, it's not shocking to me that Mayweather himself put himself as number 1. We expect that from Floyd Mayweather. It's the same way if you ask Muhammad Ali who's the best boxer of all time, he's going to name himself. Mayweather's got that charisma about his character. But I don't know. I mean, do you think he's number 1 boxer of all time? And he's gone for that overall greatest record, right? But the thing is you've got to look about the different times that boxing came through. You mentioned there to me off camera, Willie Pep. It's a different time now. Some of these fights even could be considered bare knuckle boxing. You got to think about how the fighting style has evolved. And I'm very contemporary when I mention my top 5 the way I do with football as well, because I can only judge it based on what I've seen. I'm still saying that Evander Holyfield was a fantastic boxer. There's still a good case to be made for many boxers of our generation. So I don't know when it comes to mentioning the top 5. Many people still differ away from the very olden days boxers, but I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know if I can put Mayweather as number 1, although his record's going to be spotless. He's going to go 49-0, and more on Berto later, but that's going to be a wash of a 12-round boring fight, which we know is going to happen. But, there's arguments for Roberto Duran, and as I'm reading here, like, I used ESPN Insider's top 100 boxers as reference for this. And I look back on some of these guys like Roberto Duran, who fought from 1968 to 2001, really 1968 to 1985 was his best years. But, the Ken Buchanans that he beat, he out-hustled Sugar Ray Leonard as they made that point. So it's tough when you look at guys like Sugar Ray Leonard and you put him higher than even guys like Roberto Duran, even though he lost to guys like Roberto Duran. Muhammad Ali, you put the nail on the head there. It's sentimental value. I mean, I've always said Muhammad Ali wasn't the greatest boxer of all time. He was just maybe the greatest athlete of all time, and he also stood up for his cause, which, as we get to two of the quotes I wanted to mention from Floyd Mayweather, I mean, he did a good job of explaining his list, and this is one very good reason why Muhammad Ali is not considered the greatest boxer of all time, according to a lot of pundits, the Boxing Voice podcast. He goes, he was only at 1 weight class. This is me being honest. It's so hard picking a top 5. What Ali did is he stood for a cause, and he's not wrong about that. Ali was a public figure, way more in the spotlight than Mayweather ever was, and also just a better human being than Mayweather ever was. And then he also went on to say, like this is a few years back, as part of CBS Sports, no one can ever brainwash me to make me believe that Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali was better than me. No one could ever brainwash me and tell me that. Well, I mean, if you want to be the best, you're going to say you're the best. It's no different than what, as you mentioned before as well, that what Muhammad Ali would say is, I am the greatest that has ever lived. No one can catch me. I am the fastest. You can't beat me. And he would take the spotlight and he would do it really well. Now, Mayweather, again, doesn't share the same spotlight, but a perfect 49-0 record when he beats Berto, yeah, I think you do got to put him in the top 5, regardless of what you think of him outside the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to come in the top 5, especially with that record. And we know about this fight coming up. Many people are talking about it. It's still going to be exciting. I mean, Roberto's lost 2 out of his last, 5 fights. I'm not exactly thrilled that this is going to be the way that Mayweather's going to go out. But he still has to be in and amongst that ranks. And when it comes to boxing, I think me and you are very similar to this. Is like there's different styles people could rank in top 5. I mean, is Mayweather going to be top 5 most entertaining boxers of all time? No way. I wouldn't even. I mean, there's going to be is a top 5 most feared boxers. There's many lists you can make in the boxing field because you got to put Mike Tyson somewhere on a list because you got to think about how devastating he was in his prime. There's many different boxers that should be named for how decorated, not just how decorated they were with their stats, but for what they contributed to the boxing industry. So. I just don't agree with this list fully. I mean, I think Rocky Marciano, for me, has to be in any top 5 that you put forward. Not only because Rocky is his first name, and that's my favorite movie of all time, Jason. I need to mention this again. Rocky, you need to mention that Apollo Creed needs to have a stake in there as well.
Me and Mankiewicz had a side bet that I said under 4 minutes into the clip you would mention Rocky Balboa. I think I lost the bet and I was not allowed to feed into it, so I got to owe Mank another $10 down the drain on the Rocky Balboa bet. It's interesting though with Berto. Again, we always talk about this. There's no reason for Mayweather to choose a fighter to go 49-0 against, or even when he went against Pacquiao for 48-0, that he could lose to, that he wasn't 100% sure he could beat. So, like Keith Thurman, one-time punching power, Amir Khan, Iris Lindy Lara, Danny Garcia, Gennady Golovkin, he would be dumb to fight him. It would be great for the sport, but he doesn't give a shit. And that's just the God's honest truth. So he takes Andre Berto, who I love came out and said, like, oh, I'm going to beat him. It's going to be a knockout.
He probably just read a script that someone gave him, just like, can you read this for me and hype this fight up? I am going to beat him. I fancy my chances of beating him.
Who says Mayweather doesn't do charity work? Berto's going to take a loss and go home with what? $110 million from this fight? Yeah. $80 million from this fight? That's charity. Good for you. Yeah. But no, he's not going to fight the Thurmans, the Khans, the Golovkins of the world. Although the undercard for this fight, probably one of the better ones in Mayweather's career. I know George Groves is fighting, if I'm correct.
Yeah, George Groves is fighting. I'm looking forward to that.
Very excited for that fight. And then a rise of a Puerto Rican sensation is coming to fight as well on the undercard. Going to be a lot of fun, as always. I mean, maybe not the Mayweather fight, but we like watching Mayweather for his defensive efficiencies, his capabilities, and of course, when you're going for a perfect record, who knows, maybe something weird happens. Maybe Mayweather can even knock the guy out, which would be awesome to see. But he's not going to lose, and we know that for a fact. But that's Mayweather's top 5 boxers of all time. We've done a few of these on TYT Sports before, so leave your new top 5 boxers of all time. And do you think Floyd Mayweather should be in there? Ali, where does he rank? Julio, Cesar, Chavez, don't know why he snuck into the top 5 for Mayweather. Yeah. Although a great boxer, top 25 for sure, not top 5. I don't think anybody's books beside Money Mayweather's. All your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe and, send Francis some love over to Scotland.
Send me some love and I'll bring you back some stuff that I'm legally allowed to bring back. I can't bring back haggis, Jason. I told you this. You're not allowed to bring back meat into the country. Maybe a kilt, as long as you promise not to wear anything underneath it.
Jackson's been talking about the kilt for a long time.
I know. He keeps telling me. I'm trying to figure out if I can get him one. Do you know how heavy those things are? I'm definitely going to have to extend my baggage limit when I come across.
Well, I mean, considering you already bring 4 bags for all your clothes anyway, what's a 5th going to cost you?
Just bow ties as well.
Just 1 for bow ties. All right. Leave all your comments in the comment section, in the comments.
You can comment.
You can comment.